Welcome to Wacky Wednesdays, where everyone has a chance to show off their car mods. And here's this week's winner.
Good afternoon on this thundery afternoon in the Philippines. Today I want to celebrate the birthday of this old car, our hoopty, our 1999 Toyota Tamaraw FX Revo 1.8 GLX. Just really want to give you a brief history first. The story starts over 40 years ago in Indonesia. Toyota Indonesia developed a car that started a phenomenon in the whole of Southeast Asia. They invented essentially what we call now the AUV. Everybody's heard of SUVs. Well, this is an AUV, an Asian Utility Vehicle. Toyota Indonesia introduced a car called the Kijang or Kayang. I make no apologies for my complete lack of Indonesian. Anyway, it's an Indonesian word meaning small deer. And the idea being, it was a great big monstrous rectangular square-edged brute of a thing. Here's one I'll show you now. That was in 1977. And 40 years later, in 2019, people still love their AUVs. Mitsubishi have been making the adventure for many, many years too. Isuzu have been making Highlanders and Sportivos, all essentially the same thing. Rugged, no-nonsense vehicles with a massive carrying capacity, durable bodywork and chassis, rear-wheel drive, choice of diesel or gasoline, massive seating capacity. I mean, this one you can seat 10 legally and comfortably, and high ground clearance, very important for Southeast Asian roads. Anybody who's been to Cambodia will vouch for me. And the Philippines, well, frankly, some of the roads here are atrocious, and you need that ground clearance, and helps with flooding too. In the Philippines, the car was marketed as the Toyota Tamaraw FX. And this is the 4th generation of the Tamaraw. And on the badge, even there, it says Toyota Tamaraw FX Revo. This is the first of the Revos, but still it has the little Tamaraw head. The Tamaraw is a small water buffalo in the Philippines. We have the Carabao, which is the big version, and that's the national animal. But the Tamaraw is just like a mini-me. But I love that badge. It's kind of like a little bit of history, albeit quite recent. And you know what? It's the same platform as the indestructible Hilux, the 6th generation Hilux. And anybody who's a Top Gear fan from the Clarkson, May and Hammond era will remember, hopefully, that wonderful, wonderful series they did trying to destroy a Hilux. They dropped it off a mountain, they dropped it off a building, they burned it, they crushed it with a wrecking ball, and still, guess what? It ran. The reason it ran, quite simply, those days, the 80s and 90s, they were very much the golden age of Toyota. That company then was spending a fortune of its yearly budget just on quality control, and it paid off. There have been subsequent revisions to the model line over the years. They started putting cladding on the wheel arches, along the bottom of the doors, and on the rear bumpers, front bumpers, overall adding weight. Didn't do anything for the car, it was just like a revamp in looks, but also it had the problem that it hides where rust might start. So you get rust. So I prefer this clean look, even though it's a little bit more dated. But I prefer it, it's more efficient, it's tougher. Here on the rear lights, all right, this is additional garnish that some previous owner put on. It's just, I think it's plastic. But anyway, they added another fake bit of lighting here, and it really is, it's just a stick-on unit that looks like lighting, but it's not. It's just fake, and it doesn't light up, it doesn't illuminate. As we're at the back, let's start at the back. Got a reversing mirror, very useful. You don't need a camera. This shows you the distance between the things you're about to hit. Rear wash wipe, strong steel bumpers. These are extras, obviously, that someone's put on, the rear step and bar. But look, this is all steel. There's no plastic. All right, this trim is plastic, but this is steel. How many cars these days can you tap and actually find steel? Got the original mag alloys. They're very strong, very durable. They're not going to go out of true very fast. And 20 years on, we still get no leakage from the tubeless tyres. Side steps have been added by a previous owner. Personally, I don't like them. They just reduce ground clearance minimally. I'd rather not have them, and I may take them off at some point. We've got rear drums, front discs. When I bought the car in October 6 months ago, the pads look new, the rear shoes look new, because we've been over this car. We wanted to know what we were getting. At the front here, I think that's quite a handsome front. And you think, oh, what's that gap at the bottom? I'm going to get a bit of a mesh grille stuck in there. And some people say, oh, no, fog lights. The later models have fog lights built into the bumper. This one's got fog lights. Look, here. That's the headlight. That's a fog light. Both sides. So it has got fog lights. They're just built in. And again, solid steel. Factory fitted roof rails, rain gutters fitted, power mirrors. I've got a fuse box here, and there's the bonnet release just on the left side of the steering column. This is the heart of the beast. She's looking very mucky, actually, very dusty. But we're coming to the end of the Philippines summer, and anybody who knows the Philippines knows how dusty it can be. And this is the heart of the matter, 7KE engine. E standing for electronic fuel injection, which you can see here obviously, and the 7K is the series of motor. All of the K engines were cast iron blocks and aluminium heads. All of them were non-cross-flow engines, so that means obviously here we've got the inlet and the exhaust on the same side. Very basic. No overhead camshaft. It's pushrod operated with hydraulic lifters, so it's pretty much self-adjusting. It's a 2-valve engine with a very long stroke, and you know what, obviously that gives very, very good torque performance. It's not built for high revs because of the long stroke. It's really designed for plugging away uphill, up mountains, through floods, carrying as many people and as much stuff as possible. That's the beauty of the 7KE engine, and this engine's been around since 1983. Produces 108 foot-pounds of torque at 3200 RPM and 83 horsepower at 4,600. Now, I seldom take this car up to over 4,000 RPM. I'm just cruising along, using the torque, maximizing fuel economy. It's very basic. There's plenty of space to work. It's very simple. We've got servo assist brakes, big air filter, needs it here, and clutch master cylinder we replaced, and the clutch slave cylinder we replaced. And apart from that, 160 something thousand kilometers, 20 years, that's pretty damn good going. I think you'll have to agree. I love this car. It's an incredible car. It's so strong, it's so durable, and I know it'll outlive me. Now, to the inside. This is the cockpit area. You see the only additions I put in is a cup holder and a vape holder, Toyota security system. There's an electronic clock up there, aircon controls. It's all very, very basic and very simple. That's a non-factory CD unit which someone's put in. We very rarely use it. We like to talk and stuff. Hazard warning lights here. Here we've got power mirrors, controls, fog lights, which I mentioned earlier, the front fogs, even a cigarette lighter. That's a sign of the times, isn't it? The steering isn't adjustable. The seats aren't adjustable for height, but they do tilt, they do recline, and they do slide. 164,505 kilometers. She's doing great. Sorry, he's doing great. Absolutely great. On the left here, very basic, we've got a fly, a dead fly. Auto drop on the front window, so it just drops when you click it all the way down. Controls for all 4 windows. Stop the kids playing with the windows at the back, and central locking. The remote control works. Here to the left of the driver we've got the fuel flap release. And by the way, before I go on, everything in this car still works. The back seats, 3 at the front, 3 in the middle, 4 in the back, but we'll show you that in a moment. We've got 4 3-point harnesses, safety belts, and 2 lap belts, 1 in the middle each row. But plenty of leg room, plenty of room, and the second row seats slide and recline and fold up. Power windows on all the side windows. And another sign of the times, woohoo, an ashtray with a flower. Seating for 4 in the back, 1, 2, 3, 4. These seats, obviously you can see they lift up. The middle row tilts forward all the way, so you have a flat bed all the way through. I'll just tilt the smaller side to show you. This is the winder to release the spare wheel. But you can see, look, what a large load bed that is. I know people have carried Wave scooters, Honda Wave scooters in the backs of these, because you've also got the height. Plus you've got the wonderful dual aircon. Aircon at the front and aircon at the back. And it all still works. We can make this car like a 20-year-old refrigerator. Flipping marvellous. It's got 6-speaker stereo from the factory. I mean, it's all just so easy to fix and easy to use. It's an absolute joy. Now this car, I bought it because I'm not rich. Yeah, I know if a lot of rich people would buy a new car and they'd get better mileage, better economy, more performance, more speed, probably better handling. But there's a price to pay. If you're buying, say a brand new Mitsubishi Montero Sport, it's probably going to be okay for the first 2 or 3 years. But after that, all that technology starts to break. Plus, it's just much lighter built. Modern cars are built light for performance and for economy. This thing's solid. It's not built for economy or performance, it's built to last. And that is what makes it special. It's going to outlive me. I don't think that's probably too much of a challenge, but it will outlive me. And that's one of the reasons I love it. My 205,000 pesos in October has been an investment I think is sensible. Most of the time, if you buy a vehicle, you know you're going to lose a load of money. We'll lose nothing on this, provided we keep maintaining it, we keep fixing it. It runs on a 40 weight mineral oil, which is perfectly adequate for this machine. Modern engines, they need a much lighter oil. The engines are so much more complicated, but this, it'll last forever. Seriously, it'll last forever. And when you work out miles per gallon and economy, don't forget, running a car is more than miles per gallon or kilometers per litre. Running a car is about losing your capital investment, the cost of repairing it when it goes wrong, and mark my words, half of these modern cars on the road today, even Toyotas, because unfortunately Toyota's golden age is over and they spend much less on QC quality control these days. A friend of mine has a Corolla Altis with variable valve control, but it's not just that, it's dual variable valve control. Very complex. And you look at some of the Ford pickups, high performance, good economy, massive power, diesel engines, running at high RPM, running under great stress to produce this performance. They are going to wear out quicker. This is the way to go with motoring. If you're not a millionaire, this is the way to go, promise. Plus, environmentally friendly. It is. People say, how can it be? It's an old car. Well, we're not building a new one. Any idea how much energy that takes to build a new vehicle in the world today? How many valuable resources it consumes to make? It's not just headline figures like fuel economy and carbon emissions. Me, I love this car. I love the fact that it's made of metal. I love the fact that it starts every time, that everything still works, and it just never feels like it's going to let me down. We took it on a very long road trip, 4.5 days. We did nearly 1,400 kilometers. It was really hard going. There was traffic, there was city, but mostly open roads, hills and mountains, volcanoes. It was amazing. This old car, apart from the aircon being extremely cool when we needed it, and apart from the fact that it was durable and spacious and had enough room to carry all of our stuff without any discomfort to us, it also managed to return 12.5 kilometers per litre on the trip overall. Now that I find astonishing. That is incredibly good for a heavy steel thumper of a car. It's big, it's heavy, and it's gasoline. 12.5 kilometers per litre. That is incredibly good. Generally speaking, expect somewhere between 9 and 11. if you're mixed driving. I think if you're stop, start and driving crazy, or rather trying to drive crazy, you're going to get a lot less, maybe 7 or 8. But that's not the point of this car. This car is an AUV. Never forget that. An Asian utility vehicle. Now, okay, we're only doing 50 kilometers an hour. Hardly a great shakes. I've just slipped up into 5th gear, top gear. And we're running at under 2,000 RPM. It's a very, very relaxed engine. Here's an ideal test for us. Look, in the middle of a rainstorm, heavy rainstorm, bit of flooding on the road. It's no bother for us. Even the demist function is working flawlessly. Flawlessly, after all this time. The handling, despite its weight, is actually pretty reasonable. It's no sports car, but what do you expect? It's tall and can carry 10 people. But even when it's full, it still performs, and the fuel consumption really doesn't change much. So I'm telling you, if you've got a limited budget and you've got people to carry, you really couldn't go far wrong with this. We live in this world of built-in obsolescence. So modern cars, their built-in obsolescence is really a key factor in profitability for the motor corporations. But this old car, this was built with a completely different mindset, and that, I think, sums up what I have to say about my old Revy. Thank you for listening. God bless.
Well, that was this week's video, and to have your car mod shown on my channel here, check this out. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.